Today's video is on adding and subtracting decimals. To add or subtract decimals, write the numbers vertically and line up the decimal points. Add or subtract as you would with whole numbers and bring the decimal point down in your answer. This is the main idea with adding and subtracting decimals. You basically just treat them as whole numbers and just make sure you line up those decimals as you go to solve. Think about a whole number example like this. If you had $565 and then added $3 more, you'd be remarkably foolish to put the 3 here and say that now you have $865. It'd be outright ridiculous. So we know that that's because the 3 and the 1 and the 5 are in the ones place when you add 565 and 3. This would be the correct answer. So we want to realize that when we're doing decimal numbers, the same concept applies. For example, 1.2 plus 1.03. We want to line up the decimal point. Even though our numbers don't align on the right like they do with whole numbers, the decimal point is what matters here. Many students tend to put a 0 in a place that's missing a number to show that value is there, that hundredths place still has value of 0. Now, when adding it, once it's lined up, you treat it just like whole numbers. And you bring your decimal straight down in your answer, just as the explanation before. Another example, and again, very important that we recognize that writing it in the vertical format, and you'll notice that I put the decimal point in first and then place the numbers in around it. And again, place a 0 there to hold that spot. 3 and 0 is 3, 2 and 2 is 4, 6 and 5 is 11, and bring the decimal point straight down in my sum. One more quick addition answer. We're going to do 3.7 plus 5.53. This would be read as 3 and 7/10 plus 5 and 53 hundredths. There's no value in the hundredths place, so we'll place a 0 there. In this case, we do have some carrying or regrouping. The 7 and the 5 equals 12. We only have a place for the 2. We carry the 1 into the ones place, and now we have our answer of 9 and 23 hundredths. Now this example shows that we are subtracting 1 and 27 hundredths minus 8 hundredths. And I think it'd be worthwhile to show an example to show exactly what it is that's being subtracted. So here's 1 and 27 hundredths. Now as I go to subtract 1 and 27 hundredths, I don't have enough to take away the 8 hundredths because I only have 7 here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a trade. I'm going to trade this one rod that shows 10 tenths and change it to, or shows 1/10, change it to 10 hundredths. So now I can go ahead and take the 8 hundredths I need. You'll see what's left is 1 and 19, or 1 and 19 hundredths. Now when I go ahead and solve that the same way, mathematically, we borrow from the 2. That's like taking one rod away and getting 10 individual pieces, which we add together to make 17. 17 minus 8 is 9. 1 minus 0 is 1. And that's the same answer we got when we used the visual model. Let's show that model again. So we have 1 and 27 hundredths. And we're going to take away, because we can't subtract 8 hundredths from that, we're going to trade that for one of those rods for 10 individual pieces, and then we can subtract 9, leaving us with 1 and, oh, we're supposed to subtract 8, sorry, 1 and 19 hundredths. Now, as we continue using that method, it's just like the rules we follow for subtracting, and if you need help on that, there is a borrowing on whole numbers video available. So we're going to go ahead and set this up the same way, following the same rules, and we're going to add 1 and 459 thousandths plus 23 and 7/10. Many students would want to put the 23 and 7/10 here, but remember, we line up our decimal points. So we're going to actually have 23 and 7/10 here. There's a lot of places where we're going to add zeros to hold the place, and now we can go ahead and add. And the correct answer is 25 and 159 thousandths. In our last example, we're subtracting, and again, many students would tend to put the 1605 here, but we need to line up our decimal points. And again, we're going to need zeros to hold our places, and we have to borrow if we're going to be successful here. We can't subtract 5 from 0. There's nothing to borrow from here. So we borrow all the way over here in the tenths place. The 9 becomes an 8, and that gives us 10 hundredths. Now, we need to still borrow from the 10 hundredths, make it 9 hundredths, and get 10 thousandths. 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus 0 is 9. 8 minus 6 is 2. 1 minus 1 is 0. 2 minus 0 is 2. And our answer is 20 and 295 thousandths. Nice job. We'll see you guys. Good luck on your homework.